Welcome to another episode of Async. This is Sadia. So, Joshua, 3D printer, that's exciting. Congratulations to your son on getting that all going. We, as you probably know, we also have a 3D printer, though it's a resin 3D printer. And my eldest son also has been, I bought it, but he's been the one doing all of the prints and really getting into it. So that's something that they have in common at the moment. We are working through like a number of prints that are all going into creating a 3D Settlers of Catan set. So that's kind of exciting. All right, the name. I'm nervous about it, so I hope you like it. When I was first trying to think of a name for this app, I was thinking about what the app does, right? It's for podcasters. It takes your episode, you put in all of the details, and it wraps that all up and sends it off to the hosting as a completed podcast episode and a completed podcast project in and of itself. So my first thought was like around shipping, like Panic has Transmit, another great 2-syllable app name. And I was thinking along, like airdrop and like names related to shipping and transit and vehicles, this sort of thing. But I gave up on that because they were all too industrial. And where I ended up instead was a name that also captures that encapsulation, but in a much more fun way. I decided that I like the name pita, as in like a pita bread. And I like this because, it's got that Israeli vibe to it. We use a lot of pita in Jewish cooking. And then also, what do you do with the pita? You chop it in half, and there you go. That's a kookaburra. Can you hear that? You put stuff in it. You stuff it full of stuff. And so, anyway, that's sort of working for me. P-I-T-A. Problems with this name include that it could be mistaken for the name Peter, like P-E-T-E-R. That's a problem. Also, if something is a real pain in the ass, you might abbreviate that as a P-I-T-A, pain in the ass. Oh well. I still like it. There are other names that I think are kind of cool, but Peter is working the best for me. What do you think? Okay, I'll let you be honest. You can tell me you don't like it if you really don't like it. It's better that I know now so that I can give up on that name early instead of holding on to it for a long time. If you really don't like it, let me know. On the topic of, you brought up art, and you brought up like creation and what is the purpose of creation? Why do we create? Why do we build apps? Why do we design? Why do we create art in the first place? And I was talking with a friend of mine about this, who recently started creating this new, it was new for him, a new style of art, which involved like a plotting machine. Ooh, a snake. I'm not even joking. It's a brown snake. Ha! Huh. It's alright, it's going in the other direction, but I'm not joking, there was a snake right there, I promise. It was like 2 meters from me this whole time while we were talking. Yeah, Australia, it's fine, there's not scary creatures everywhere. I think last podcast there was a goanna, this podcast there's a snake. Anyway, so he's using a plotting machine and math and programming. He's an ex-Google engineer to create these beautiful works of art. I really like them. It prints them out on these big, beautiful sheets of paper, and they're like geometric but distorted, and they're loads of fun. And I really like the idea of printing the formula, the mathematical equation on the back that goes into actually making the art. I think that's a cool idea. Anyway, he was saying he's looking for a way to make money. He's looking for a job, but he doesn't want his art to be it. I said, why is that? He said, I just want to create for the purpose of creating. It's art. It should be art, and it shouldn't be a money-making venture. And I said, well, maybe you should like at least go to the markets or something like this, get a stall and just display your art in the markets for other people to be able to potentially buy there. And he was a bit iffy, but I said it's not about selling it, but it's about displaying it, because art wants to be seen, art wants to be experienced. And I can understand the drive to want to create art for art's sake, but what good is it if nobody ever experiences that art? Another story, I don't know if I've told you this story before, but my wife's brother, he used to create music, multiple times a week, write this song. He's an amazing musician, he's a music teacher, and he's got like a great command of a whole range of instruments. So he used to sit down and like record guitar, piano, bass, drums, the whole bit, and write these songs multiple times a week. And he'd write song after song after song, and they were great tracks. I'd heard a couple. But what he'd do is he'd create this song, he'd master it, he'd like do everything, and then he'd listen to it in headphones, really enjoy it, and then he'd delete it. He'd delete the whole Logic project. And that used to really frustrate me. I can see a beauty in it, but art wants to be experienced, I think. And so what happened though is one day he was creating this music, and now he's got a kid, and his 1-year-old toddled into the room and started dancing to the music while it was playing through the speakers. And at that point he decided, you know what, I'm going to stop deleting this, and I'm going to keep it for my son to be able to listen to and experience. So I think that there is that aspect of art wants to be experienced. So why do we create? Why do we do what we do? I think part of it is just for the creative act in and of itself, but part of it is so that we can get that into other people's hands. And as creators, as entrepreneurs, and as programmers and designers, it's one thing to design something beautiful in Figma, but it's like next level if that design can then go on to be a successful app. And why do we care about success? It's not for the financial benefit. We don't care about success because we want to give ourselves a big name, but because this is our art, this is our work, and it's meaningful to have that work be experienced by lots of other people. I recently watched a YouTube video that I sent you. I think it's Cabell from Panic, and he says something in this TED Talk or XO Talk that even with everything that I just said about art just wanting to be experienced, there's always an inbuilt desire for artists additionally to just want recognition. There is a desire for recognition as well. It's not just about the art, but sometimes it's about the artist. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. Maybe that's healthy. Maybe a few strokes of the ego don't go too far astray. Maybe it's good to recognize the genius in people. On the other hand, I was talking with a rabbi friend of mine just yesterday about publishing and creativity and work, and we both agreed that creativity doesn't come from us. It comes from somewhere else, and it's channeled through us. And I think a lot of artists, I've heard Stephen King say that, I think a lot of artists and creators would agree with that. What do you think? The last thing that I want to mention was talking about social media. This whole video thing, this YouTube, Instagram, whatever, everything is really new to me, and feel like maybe I'm not so good at it yet. And the fact is, I don't really have a strong desire to get good at it. I really enjoy recording a podcast. Sorry, so many mosquitoes and marsh flies here. I really enjoy recording podcasts because it feels like I'm just talking to you. But when I'm in front of a camera, it feels more performative. And I installed Instagram on my phone, and man, I did that trick. You mentioned a trick to me to put Instagram. It's iOS 18 lets you put things into a hidden folder. So I threw Instagram in a hidden folder, so I don't see it day to day, except for when I really need it. But still, like, I hate what it does to my brain. Even just opening it, and immediately I'm just drawn to start scrolling that feed. It's crazy, isn't it? Anyway, do you sort of get what I mean? This feels more performative and less... Podcasting just feels different. No, I'm not saying that we should stop doing the video formats, but I do think that it changes. It's not as simple as I'm recording a podcast, now I'm recording a podcast with the camera. It's the same thing. No, when you add a camera, the work changes fundamentally in some way. All right, see you later.